I met a gypsy.
So 72 times 20 minutes is 1,440 minutes.
That's incredible.
Of motos. So yeah, definitely the most riding I've ever done. And I learned pretty quick in Moto 1 that I just got very good at practicing and not that good at racing. I ended up just shitting myself off that stuff.
Are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to...
No, I'm saying...
I'm not recording yet.
No, I'm saying in regards to sharing your data, you want me to do Anna's data, or do you want me to do somebody that...
No,
because I have all my clients' permission.
No, just do mine.
Okay. Because I just figured you could reference stuff that is going to resonate with...
Yeah, I always love it. All right, so I'm recording on that screen now.
Okay.
So we're into my Garmin dashboard. So this is the good, the bad, and the ugly of my 2023 training. That's what you were in now.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I guess I'll give everyone maybe a bit of a rundown.
Okay.
Of like what I did, what I kind of thought. Originally I wanted to try and just like do a program from you basically, but so I ended up pretty much started training like January 1. I think there's even motos on January 1. But yeah, I was basically like, I'm going to record all my motos for the year. I'm going to do 20-minute motos just nonstop, basically. And then I also was like, I'm going to start running as well, because yeah, just like with moving and with all that, and a lot of travel. I was like, I just want to be able to do it wherever. But I got friends that run, and like a lot of people really love it. And once they start doing it, they really get into it and they really love it. And I kind of just wanted to find that out for myself. Like I wanted to have that experience, I guess. So yeah, I just did a bunch of running. I ended up, if you do buy Garmin, like I just literally click into the top right, click run, and it'll give me a suggested workout. So today's suggested workout is base 140 BPM for 27 minutes.
Yep.
So yeah, basically I just did a whole lot of base runs.
Yep.
And yeah, so maybe one thing that could be cool is to, I guess, I know you've spoken about it before,
sure,
but maybe
sure.
like a brief intro to somebody that doesn't know what like base training is, or like running training via
Absolutely.
base, because there's a lot of, I guess, like misconceptions about running, and when I like basically low and slow. So you want to be at like a low heart rate,
yep.
which means you're just running pretty slow and you just like do it for time. And you'll see, like if you go to my first runs, like it was pretty shit, and I was doing like a lot of walking because my heart rate would elevate. And then over time, you can just like keep your heart rate kind of more in control, and then you learn a lot about like breathing and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think I didn't run as far as or as much as I kind of thought I would, but I just did a lot of like 5K
That's
runs.
perfect. Yeah.
And then I ended up doing like 125 Ks.
That's awesome.
So far for the year or something.
Yep.
But I probably ran 0 the year before. So it was like a pretty big step up.
Yep.
But definitely for 2024, I think I want to run more. I might even try and do like a half marathon or a marathon or something like that. And then my wife, she's started running as well, so she's kind of the same thing, base training, like she's got the heart rate monitor.
Yep.
But yeah, because I think the one thing that running did for me more than anything else was stress relief.
Yep.
And I found that out a lot too. Like,
well, you can't take your phone with you. It's not like when you're on a stationary bike, you always still have these attachments to you.
Yeah.
You get out, you're gone.
Yeah, you're in the sun, or you're in like the elements, or like
some vitamin D, fresh oxygen.
Yeah,
trees.
loved running on the beach.
Yeah.
But I found out, like, so obviously in Dubai, that like there's no substances there.
Right.
So like I would definitely use substances as like relaxation and stress relief.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of like, all right, end of day, I'm winding down, I got no more work,
Yeah.
So then you kind of go to something like that. Whereas in Dubai, you don't really have that option. And I found myself going pretty fucking crazy. And there'd be nights where it'd be like just before dinner and I'm kind of working and I could just feel I'm stressed. My stress is up on my watch. So I would just literally go running.
See,
and
that
like,
right there to me is interesting, because as intuitive as you are, the fact that you didn't walk that through knowing that was kind of your go-to.
Yeah.
That's
well,
kind
I
of
guess
interesting.
I guess it's just a long, like habits, you know,
Yes,
like it's
yeah.
like a long time. And
That's just really cool.
And I didn't like running, and I would have told myself I didn't like running, told
Yeah.
myself I wasn't good at running,
Yep.
which is also another thing to speak on, is like you kind of just are the story about yourself that you tell yourself.
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right either way.
Yeah.
I know it sounds a little corny, but think
so,
about that.
It's so true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, running was a big thing that I did. I didn't do, well, when we were in Dubai, I did a lot of jiu-jitsu because it was just so good. Like the gym was awesome.
That's
like
amazing.
The facility, it was unbelievable. So I did a lot of jiu-jitsu there, but I just didn't do that much jiu-jitsu this year because I didn't want to get hurt. Yeah. And I just didn't want to be fatigued when I was riding. And I was just so, like, it's so hard on your body. Physically, it's just, it ruins you. And then I also would, like, I get a lot of like ankle and foot, not injuries, but like
twists and
torques. You just always like you can't. I don't know.
Always have a niggle of some sort going on
for sure,
always.
And especially in like my ankles and stuff and my knees. So anyway, didn't do a lot of jiu-jitsu, did a bit of running, but I just really prioritized doing those motos. So maybe we'll break this up into like looking through some of the data, and then maybe at the end I'd talk about what I would think I'd do differently, then maybe get your opinion.
Sure.
So anyway, this is a little bit different to how we normally do it, but I thought we got heaps of data. You're a data guy. It could be just cool for people to maybe see a bit more about this like style of training, and I don't know, could be interesting. So
no, I think people enjoy it because of what you said. There's a lot of misinformation. Something that I want to pull the train back a little bit on. You mentioned jiu-jitsu. It's very explosive.
We could look at what it's like.
Well, jiu-jitsu, I want people to think about it. It's very explosive, and it's what we refer to as an anaerobic type of intensity. You could almost put it in the category of a HIIT, high-intensity interval training.
Yeah, it's intervals
very
for sure.
Explosive. Yeah. The type of muscle type the muscle type that's utilized is going to be more of a quick twitch muscle fiber type A versus a slow twitch muscle fiber type B.
Yeah.
Think about a marathoner as a B, sprinter as an A. You're doing A.
Yeah.
What's very interesting for the listeners is I'm a slow twitch guy. You put me in jiu-jitsu, it's going to be 10 times harder because I'm soliciting muscles that are not what I'm intuitively born with.
Yeah.
So for me to even be remotely good, I have to warm up almost an hour to trick my body into thinking I've already been on the mat for an hour. Otherwise, I'm always going to get smoked. Yeah. Keep that in mind. You mentioned the fact that it's so fatiguing. It's because it's all explosive. Yeah. It's like a marathoner going to the track every day and running 100-yard intervals. Yeah. That's all they do, or 100-meter intervals or 400 meters. It's different types of training, and it's very important because people will hear this podcast and go, hey, I'm over here doing HIIT training, when really my sprint speed isn't my issue. It's that late race endurance. Yeah. I've been doing the wrong energy. I've been developing the wrong energy system, just not understanding fundamentals. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure when you mentioned that. The easiest illustration I could give our fans is if you and I were going to gamble a $100 bill and I have a radar detector and I say the first motorcycle that gets to 60 miles an hour, you're going to get to $100. You can either take the 85 or you can take the 450. Which one are you going to jump on?
I guess more people would go on the 450, but I'm guessing there's a catch.
But I want them to think that same thing, right? Yeah. Because what's the only difference? It's still a bike, it's got two wheels, it's got forks, handlebars, and all. It's exactly the same. The only difference is the displacement of that piston and the size of that carburetor and the size of the pipe. Notice all three. Yeah. Piston, carb, and pipe. Yeah. Go with me here on the 450s. I know there's very few that have carb and pipe. But
I get you.
All right. So
I see where you're going.
Exactly. So when you're working on your overall physical strength, just think about big bore. The stronger you are, easier it is to go fast. If I put a KX500 carburetor on a KX85, I can stuff all the air fuel I want. I'm not going to create new power out of this 85 piston, even though I'm stuffing air fuel. Yeah. Your carburetor is your aerobic engine. Yeah. So when you made that comment about going long and slow, you're just building a big bore motor is all you're doing. Yeah. That's why strength training always has to be complemented with cardio, because when you put those two together, I don't mean to create kind of a bunny trail here. If I have a 500cc piston and I've got an 85 carb, it isn't going to get to its potential, and I can reverse those. So I felt that this year, like coming into this, knowing myself and knowing how I'd felt in the past, like that I was kind of pointless in me doing strength training. Mm-hmm. It was kind of pointless in me doing other things until I kind of just had a base. Absolutely. And just built so I kind of felt I didn't do much weight training of really at all. Like I did a fair bit in Dubai,
but that was like a 3-month
Sure.
period, you know. But again, I prioritized riding
Yep.
over,
Yep.
and then obviously like all the other shit that
And
you've
to
got
me,
to do.
riding always supersedes everything. And again, I don't want, as you say, I don't want the listeners to get irritated. When you look at a triathlete, he or she doesn't have nearly the danger associated with swimming, biking, and running. People who don't like swimming would argue drowning. But I would much rather build your strength and your anaerobic threshold off the motorcycle than I would on. That way, when you get on it, you're much safer.
And that's how I felt
It's
too.
the only sport.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about running, I normally, for anybody who rides moto, I don't advocate running, with a caveat, if you're going to run consistently.
Yeah.
Because if you do it sporadically, there's so much residual soreness.
Yeah, 100%.
Besides motorcycle, the only thing that's more load bearing is running.
Yeah.
So that's why your heart rate's always the highest. The more muscle you use, the higher the heart rate. So moto is always number 1. Running is always number 2.
Yeah.
Rower's number 3. Then it goes gravel, mountain bike, and then we get into swimming.
Yeah.
Then you can go add things like elliptical, Nordic track, and that kind of stuff. Just think about how much muscle you're using. So that's why I don't want people to take it out of context. I always prefer the bike, but I don't want you to go out and yard dart yourself because you're not strong and fit enough to. And just to add one little component, I'd love you to get on your bike, just don't go haul ass.
Yeah.
Jump on your bike and go do turns. Go jump on your bike and work a section. Don't try to moto down because the risk of it.
Yeah.
And watch your heart rate. Starts getting around, I'm just using a loose number range, gets to 165, 170. Stop doing your cornering. Let it come down to 100. Resume.
Yeah.
You reduce your risk of getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because I would never say cross-training supersedes seat time. But there's a point where if you're not in good enough shape, seat time could yard dart you.
That's pretty
Hurt
much
your
like
ass.
where I was. And
Yeah.
so Sam Sunderland as well, when I was in Dubai, and we were just talking about training and shit. And yeah, he said, he's like, I personally think that to get in shape for moto the quickest, you should run. And he just said it puts like you put K's on your legs, and I noticed that my legs definitely got a lot more endurance, but I got a bit thicker, like a bit more muscle in
Durability is what
there.
we're after.
And I could tell, especially when I was doing all the motos in Dubai in the sand, that it actually really helped my lower back and my legs.
Lower
strength.
back is where it's going to be.
And then I had crazy soreness when I first started running. Yeah. But that actually went away surprisingly quick. And I think that's probably the biggest barrier for people. And it was my biggest barrier, was that every time I ran way too hard and I got really sore. And I was just like, man, I'm just not built for running. But it's just kind of not true. Like, you're going to get sore, but also you should just run to a certain heart rate for a certain distance. And I'd stopped a lot. Like if you pull up my first run, like I was just walk, run to try and keep my heart rate. Now
you bring up again, let's back the train up just a smidge. A lot of people will say that the running is super sore on their body, and that's because they're running in old shoes. Try not to have a pair of shoes that's more than maybe 3 to 4 months. Like I live in Florida in the heat and humidity, and it's frustrating because you'll get a manufacturer, you find a pair of shoes you like, and then they discontinue them. So you buy 6 pairs and you put them in your closet. Well, the heat and humidity will actually solidify the heel. So even though the shoe hasn't come out of the box, that material is solidified. So you're out there running essentially in concrete shoes. So when someone starts running, try to run off-road if you can.
Yeah.
Make sure you have good shoes. And then if you have an old pair of shoes, look at the bottom of them and see what the run pattern is. Are you a heel striker, which means now you're grabbing what we call the e-brake. When you're running, you should always be falling forward so that you're landing. Head is over your knee, is over your... Because now we're going to get into biomechanics. Like I said, I don't want the subscribers to get irritated, but I do want to address their frustrations. Why am I so damn sore? Because your quadriceps are essentially the most powerful decelerator of the body. Well, when you land on your heels, you decelerate. When you fall forward, you're actually springing. We measure it in vertical oscillation. How much is your head going up and down versus how much is your belly button moving forward?
That should all be in there too, actually. Yeah,
because
so that was another thing.
But I want people to understand the importance of it before we jump into numbers. And like, I'm not a runner. Who gives a shit? Because if you do want to get in shape,
because I've never looked at that. I know it's in there, but I've never.
But I agree. Running is so convenient.
Yeah.
But there's caveats. If you're going to do it once a week, it's going to be too sporadic. It's going to hurt so much.
Yeah.
Now, you made a comment again that's worth reversing, backing up a little bit. When you notice that the recovery, the soreness went away quite quickly, high five knuckle punch. Is that adequate protein intake? Is it contrast therapy? Did you foam roll? Did you get 9 hours of sleep? Because, and I cannot emphasize this enough, when someone has a run and the next day they're so damn sore they can't get down to use the restroom, they'll look at every small detail. But when things go well, I go, how'd you do it? And you go, I don't know, I just did it.
Yeah,
stop.
Yeah,
We can't
decode
duplicate
what went
success.
right. Yeah.
But when it goes wrong, everybody wants to micromanage it. When things go right, most people can't duplicate it.
Yeah.
So I just thought that comment, as benign and quippy as it was for you, that was huge. Did you make a small change in your protein intake? Did you start adding foam rolling? Did you just sit in an Epsom salt bath? It's that 1% after the other 99 are in place.
Yeah.
But I like running. I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here, but I don't like running if it's sporadic, because our knees, our hips, our ankles, they all take enough abuse with the G-ing out of the bike. But it is the most inexpensive, quickest, most convenient if you're going to do it consistently, and you have to do the supporting stuff. Foam roll, contrast therapy, chiropractic adjustment. A lot of times people will complain of their lower back when we ride sand.
Yeah.
And that's because your quadriceps, if you can imagine the pelvis from the side.
Yeah, it's like...
Your hips are coming to the front top of your pelvic girdle. So when they get tight, they pull down, which tilts the lower part, and now you get lordosis in the small of your back.
So we're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.